Imagine this. It's the busiest day of the month. You're juggling 5 different projects all at once, barely holding on. I want to show you how you can use Microsoft List to keep yourself organized and stress-free, no matter what your workload is. If I'm thinking about reasons why somebody would want to try Microsoft List, it would be these 3. It's going to allow you to track work, relay information, and simply visualize data. And it's super easy to use, and you can do it all in one place. Also, it connects to other apps in Microsoft 365 like Teams or SharePoint. And I really like how you can use Microsoft Power Automate just to automate tasks automatically. So I'm going to show you how to do this step by step through this tutorial here today. First, I want to show you how to get Microsoft List for free if you don't have a Microsoft 365 account. I do have a Microsoft 365 account, and I could just sign in right here with it or access it through my normal homepage for Microsoft 365, which I'll show you in a moment. But I'll put this link down below in the description, and I want you to click on this if you don't have an account. Click Try It Now, and you're going to see that they have a limited 200,000 accounts that you could test out Microsoft List on. And this is a first come, first served basis, so make sure you sign up right away. And then you can follow along step by step with today's tutorial. But for me, I'm going to go over to my Microsoft 365 account. I'm already logged in here. So I'm going to go ahead and I could click up top here to the app launcher, and we can see List. So this is what the icon looks like for List. I could open it right here. If it doesn't show up there, we can go to the apps. And if we go to all apps, you're going to see all the apps that you have with your Microsoft 365 account. So I'm going to be using List right here. If it's your first time when you go to this Microsoft List, you'll be kind of notified for a download. You can download the app to put it on your computer. It's a very light program. If I look down below, you can see that I actually have it on my taskbar. It works exactly the same. So you can work online or on the app down below. And I just wanted to point out too, there is the app for mobile. Everything will move across to it that you can operate there or here. But let's get started with creating our first new list. I'll be mainly working from within the Microsoft List app here today and showing you those step-by-step instructions. But after I do that, I am going to show you how this also works in Microsoft Teams. Now, we're going to start with a new list, and it's a simple click right here. When this comes up, you're going to get a few different options on how you want to start your list. I'm going to be showing you from a blank list so you understand how to set up everything yourself. But the other great ways would be from an existing list, if you already had one, from Excel or a CSV file. So with an Excel, if it had all the different columns in it, those would become the columns inside the list. Now down below, I'm going to just click on one of these as an example. They have lots of templates that you could just click and use right away, and they give gives you a little idea how a list works. So if I click on Content Scheduler, which would be a good one for me with making YouTube videos, what you can see is that they have all these different columns across the top here as I just go through, and the template's going to just give me all these ones set up with the different type of drop downs that you can pick in here. But the information, the content inside won't be in here. It will just be the different headers across the top. So I could click use this template. But for our purposes today, what we're going to do is go new and just go from a blank list. So what's the name going to be of this list? In this example, let's say that the team at the office has been working super hard and I want to create a movie night, and I'm going to go and create an office movie night planner with Microsoft List here. And the next thing is we could add a description to this. So what is the description going to be? Well, it's going to be about planning this night. So we'll say plan and organize a movie night for the office team. We can go ahead and choose a color of our choice here. So let's go with a green here. We can go and pick an icon. So I'm just going to choose this one right here, the bug. Why not? Now you can also save this to different locations. I only have the one place under my list here. Then we just go ahead and click create. Now we're all ready to start creating columns and then specifying what type of data goes into each of those columns. Right before we do that, I just want to point out this new feature in Microsoft List here, this forms. I really like it because after I go ahead and create my list, I could turn it into a form and send it to people, and then it makes an easy way to enter that data and it all gets collected back here. So make sure you stick around to that part of the video so that you can see how that's done. But now let's go over to this right here. They already created a column for us called title, and I can just see it's of type text here. I could leave it for that. Because for movies, title would make sense, but I want it to be called movie instead. So I'm going to drop down and notice this is where we can do some sorting and we can filter, group, and all these different ones. I want to go to column settings here and I'm going to click rename. So rather than it be called title, I'm just going to call it movie, just like that. So I can go ahead and hit save and it quickly adjusts it. Let's go ahead and add a new column now. And I'm just going to click on this, add column, and you're going to see right away we have to pick a choice of what type of data this is going to be. This is the text, which is the same as this movie night one over here. I want a date and time, so people can pick a date and time for this movie, or if it indicates when this is. So we pick date and time and we go next. And then we can go through and fill in more information about this. So let's give this a name, and I'll just call this date. And if that wasn't enough information, I'll just give it a little bit of a description, the date of the movie night. Now you can see I can change the type here. So if I needed, I made a mistake, you know what, I need a different type of information to go in here, I can quickly make that change. I can include a time. So I'm going to turn this on here. I could turn it friendly format, and we have all these different options that we have. So if I drop down, you can see if I want to have a default value on it, and there's always more options that we can open up, and then you can get precisely what you want in that column. But for this works for me. I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And now I have two columns. I have movie and date, and we can see what type is in it by looking at the little calendar here. So on the next one, what I want to add is the genre. So this is going to be a drop down, a choice. So if I go and click add column, here's choice here. And as I go through this tutorial, I'll try to add as many as I can here to show you the different options. But let's go next here. What's going to be the name here? And this is just going to be genre here. Now, if I want to give a description, I can. I don't really need that. But this is where I can do the choices here. So I can go and if I wanted to edit here, so let's say in this case, if we like our comedies, I'll just say comedy here, and maybe we have, I'll click in this one and we'll say drama, and we'll do action here. So we have a few different options, and I better spell that correctly. And I can add more. So if I go and say, you know what, sci-fi is a popular one here, so I'll just add sci-fi, and we'll add one more here, but you get the idea. We'll call this one horror. Oops, better spell that one correctly as well. So we have horror, and we have all these different options. If you wanted to change any of these or even the color, notice how I can quickly make those changes, and I can change the order by dragging them around. Again, always check out all the different options that you have when you have these different types that you pick. But now I can go ahead and hit save, and we're going to have our new column. And when I drop down, you can see all the different options of filtering and sorting are through each of these. If you wanted to change the order of the columns, you can quickly do this by clicking and holding and dragging and move. You can see how you can just move the order back and forth like that. The other thing is if you wanted to edit a column or delete the column, if I just do the drop down and go back to column settings, I can do the edit, and I have all the options there. And notice that delete is right down here if you wanted to remove it. But now I want to go ahead and add a few more columns here, and the next one's going to be about the runtime. How long is this movie going to be? So in a case like that, if I hit add column, this is going to be a number. And if I choose number, I'm going to hit next, and then I can go and do the same type of information. I don't have to put the description here. And you can see all the different options. Now, if you were putting in a dollar amount, you can select the symbol that would come with it, or a percentage, you can go ahead and select that as well. I don't need that for this example. I'm just going to go ahead and hit save. The other thing that's really important to me, for everybody to know, where are they going to host this? Is it going to be in a conference room or maybe a different room? So I'm going to go and add another column here. And this time it's going to be a short text amount. So I think as this one will do. Notice that we do have multiple lines of text. So if I go and have text selected, I can just go and put location. Maybe I want to make sure, give it a little bit more information about how they would describe it. So I can put where the movie will be, example, conference room 1, and I'm just going to leave everything the same there. Now, the other thing I just want to point out, you can change if something was, you can just pull the width of the columns too as well if you needed to adjust them. Now, I'm going to go ahead and just fill in a bunch of information, and then I'll come back and explain the couple different columns that I've added. I have all my columns in place, and I've actually switched over to the app just to show you how everything works the same. I added available seats. So this is just a number that the person would enter how many seats available, how many people RSVP back. This is another number. Snacks provided. This is just a yes, no. So that's the only choice. It'll be a checkbox where it's going to be a yes, no answer. And then we have special request, which is a multi-line answer. And then this one is organizer. This is going to be connected to the organization with the members, that once we start filling out a name, it will just populate that way. And this one over here, we can put maybe a URL to the movie that people can check it out. And we have status, is this confirmed or canceled? And that's just going to be a choice similar to the other ones. Now I can go ahead and start filling this out for myself, but if I was going to send this out and I knew there's different people in the organization that were going to plan this movie night, I'd have to share this with them. So I can click share up here, and I can quickly add people's names, and you'll see from the organization, I can add them, and then I can give them different, if they can edit the list, they can edit items, or they can only view. So depending on what you want, and you can send the message there as well. But let's say I'm going to go and start adding the information to this. If I click new here, now this entry becomes like a form that I can just run through at this point, makes it easy to add. So let's say the first movie that we want to plan is going to be Inception, and we can go ahead and pick a date on this. So if I go and say, well, it's going to be in a couple of weeks, and we're going to do this at 7 a.m. That would be a little ridiculous. We'll say 7 p.m. We don't know how many people will show up for this, but we can say, oh, this is sci-fi. We can go ahead and give it a runtime. This is 148 minutes, this one. And location, well, the location, we happen to have a large place we can do this, and this is going to be in the main auditorium, and we have 50 seats available so far. So if I was the one filling this out, I know 35 people have RSVP'd, so people can check back and send me a message if they want to have more. Special request, well, in this case, it's a larger one. We need a little bit of a good sound system here. I'm the organizer for this one, so I can start typing my name and add it here. And remember, if it's someone else, that person's name, they can just start adding it. Like I could type Ashton here, who's part of the organization, and then that person would be the organizer on it. So in this one, I'll be the first one. And what's the URL? And I'm just going to go and place a YouTube video trailer that they can watch there. You can see there's alternative text, status, and I'm going to say, since I know already 35 of 50 people have gone, this is planned. I'll pick on this one, no attachments, and I'll hit save. Now, take a look at this. You can see that the list goes through here. All that information is added. The other way I could go ahead and enter information, if I go to edit in grid view, this is where I can add new items across each of the row. So now let's go ahead and enter another one in, and I'll say this is going to be Mad Max Fury, and we're going to go with, we'll say action. When's the next date? Well, if I press the calendar here, I get the option, and this will be in June. We'll start planning maybe monthly. We'll go around the 12th of June this time, and I'll hit the time, and we'll say at 6 p.m. We'll go, okay. And then the run time on this one is going to be 120. In this place, are we going to place this in, let's say we have a basement hall this time. The available seats are going to be 40. And everybody's excited about this movie. So we already have people a month ahead with the RSVP count. The snacks, yes, they're provided. Is there any special request in this one? So I can still just copy paste that information or type it in over here. This time the organizer, if I start typing, let's say Ashton, he's going to be here, and I'm going to go and get my URL and just paste it in here and hit the check mark. And is this planned? Yes, at this rate of everybody coming, we'll make sure that this is planned. So which way works the best for you? Does it go better to hit the new or just go from the grid view? If you want to exit out of grid view, just click it again. You can see how it goes back and forth. So I kind of like the grid view when I'm entering that, but the form makes it nice and easy. I went and added a few more movies here just so we had some more data. And I'm going to show you how you can do some customization to the columns. And let's take a look at runtime. If I drop down here and we have totals at the bottom, I can choose to say, well, do I want a sum of all those minutes? Or maybe I just want to know the average length. And if I click it, it quickly gives me an average. This is a lot like Microsoft Excel. I could go down again, totals, and maybe it's the maximum one I want to find out. And you can see how it matches Inception up top. If I want to turn it off, just go back to none. If I went over to the genre column here, I could drop down and I could actually group by genre. The different columns will give me a few different options of what I can do. Again, you can go back, click it again, and the check mark goes back. You can do some formatting to the columns that will help with visualization. So if I click down, and this time I'm going to go to column settings, we can go format this column. So if I go format this column, maybe I want to have some data bars. So if I click this, this gives me a quick visualization. I can look at it and see in a hurry that Inception is the longest movie and that the Grand Budapest is the shortest one. So that's a nice way to visualize data. If I click it again, it goes away. Then another thing you can add is conditional formatting to set up a rule. So if I click on that, maybe we'll let's go ahead and add a rule, because right now I don't have any. If I click add a rule, I could say choose a column. We'll say runtime. And what's a comparison? Let's just say is greater than, and I'm going to choose a value of 120. So if I want the color, so if I change the color, and let's go with this color, notice now that 148 and 147 are highlighted. If I was going to go and say a different one is equal to 120, then only one will show up. So it allows you to go through and create these rules that you can, as these lists get longer, you can see how this can really help you visualize the data. If you like the rule, you can hit save and then that will stay. And if I close it, if I go back again to that, so if I go to format this column and I can manage the rules here, if I want it gone, I can just use the ellipsis here and delete the rule and hit save on it. So just some ways that you can visualize the data. Another important thing that you might like to add is an automation. So in this case, I have different people that are organizing it. Maybe they need to receive an email automatically. If I move up to the top where it says automate and drop down, there's rules up here as well. I can go ahead and create a rule that when a new item is created, so this is going to be a new row. If I select this, when a new item is created, send an email. And if I click in here, I want an email sent to the organizer so they know. So if I was the one creating the list, then they would get the email saying, hey, they're the organizer and here's the information. So I could click on this and hit create. So here's the new rule. I can have rules available. It's on, and I could turn this off or just exit out of this. So now I have these rules. I could go back and manage the rule, and you can see right here when an item is created, send email to organizer. So it's a nice way to make sure that nothing is forgotten when these different items are added to the list. Now I've talked about how you can use your filtering and everything just going through this point or even sorting. We do have a few different views and quick filters over here. So if I click the filter, you can just quickly see if I want to see which ones I created or Kathy. You can just make those choices just by that quick click. The other thing you can do a group by. This was similar to what I showed you in genre before. If I click genre, it groups them in genre. If I click it on again, I can exit out. You can also create views. So if I was going to go and add a view this way, maybe I want a view of the genre here, and I could go and pick a board and pick a column and go ahead and hit create. It goes ahead and creates a board this way. So there's different views, different ways you can view the information that gets collected here. If I go back to all items, you can see genres here. If I drop down, I can delete that view as well. So this makes it a nice way to visualize everything. Now remember, I was talking about the form. So I'm back to the online version of it inside the app. You won't see the forms there, but online, I'm going to go ahead and click this. What this does is going to take the information from the list that we created. So I'm going to click new form, and I can go and give it a title. So if we say office movie night, I could go ahead and describe what the form is about. But I can go and just simply click off the ones I want to have on this form. So you can see everything's just a quick check. So if I didn't want the RSVP count or the snacks provided, all those things, when I send it, it won't be there. So the nice thing is, so I can go through, customize any of this. I can drag them around into different orders on this. I can add new fields here. I can continue down the themes. I can choose a different color. And we have a setting here that where we don't want to accept responses, or we can turn it or accept responses or turn it off. And then there's the confirmation message. So when they're submitting, so maybe I want to send this out to everybody, and I want everybody to plan a movie night over the next year, or maybe there's a group of people, and I could send this out, and then they could start picking the movie and the place and organizing it. Because then I can go to send form, copy the link, and I could send this out. I can also do a preview of this here. So this will show me what's going to be sent out. So you can see, hi Jamie Keat, since I'm the one logged into here, and it shows the email, but all that information is there. And then I just have to go through and submit it. So this is a great feature to have when you're collecting data for the list in here. So I'm just going to go ahead, exit out, and then that form will be saved. Take a look at this up here, integrate. Notice that with Microsoft List, you can connect it with Power Apps, where you can create an app, Power Automate to create flows and automation, and you have Power BI for visualization of data. So these are, you can have them all connected together. If you're looking to learn more about these different apps by Microsoft, I'll put a link to those down below in the description and up above in the card. Now, if you're getting out of this, if I just go back and click on Microsoft List up top, it brings me to the main page. And this is where you can see we have the one that we created. I could star it. If I had lots of important lists and different ones, if I want my important ones up there, I can quickly star it, or you can unstar. We have the option with the ellipsis where we can go back to our settings. If we wanted it to be a different color or a different icon, we could go through and just make those changes quickly, and it adjusts. And we notice that we can remove from the recent list as well. Now, I said at the beginning that I'll talk about Microsoft Teams and how this can be put into Microsoft Teams. So if I just go and open up Microsoft Teams, and I'm just in one of my teams here, we can add a list to this right up top. So if I go and say add a tab, we can go and connect lists. So you can do a search for a list up here. And then what it allows you to do is have that list right inside Microsoft Teams. So if you're working together, this is a great option to have to keep everything on track with the project. So I could go ahead and hit save. Now I'm going to have a list placed in here, and I can create a list in here or add an existing list. So all these different options of adding all the things they just showed you right inside Microsoft Teams. I hope this has given you a good understanding on how Microsoft Lists can work for you. Take advantage if you have Microsoft 365 to be using it and connecting with those other apps to keep everything organized and the stress levels down. Thanks a lot for watching this week on Teacher's Tech. I'll see you next time with more tech tips and tutorials.